With his 7th home run of the year, and he gets the Mets on the board first. And the breaking ball hit in the air to deep left field, way back and way out of here. Another one in the second deck from Michael Kadire. Second time in this series he's hit it into that second deck. His 5th home run of the year. And the Mets now have a 4-0 lead.
Without quite as much on their shoulders.
Syndergaard deep to center field. Back goes Herrera to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here! Noah Syndergaard with his first major league home run. Well, we knew he could hit. We knew he had some power, and he just showed it off big time. First time in 3 years that a Met pitcher has hit a home run. Duda cracks another one. Deep right center. Forget that. Way out of here. Duda's second of the afternoon. And the Mets' 4th home run of the game. It's 6-0 New York.
Welcome to Cuse in the Morning on 90.9 FM WIRQ. As always, we have a couple episodes left in for those who just heard, obviously. That was the coverage of the New York Mets game and the Philadelphia Phillies on Wednesday afternoon yesterday. And we are in for the week of Thursday, May 28th, 2015. We only have a couple episodes left, like I said. We have this one, next week's episode, and then the following week, and we're done. And then the podcast will be coming to a sad close, and that'll be it. So we have a lot to talk about. We'll have for the finale show. We'll have a big, long podcast. Have a longer than usual to finish off this great series, how it's been, and we'll get to that in the future when we cross that bridge. So there's been a lot happening this week. Obviously, I had my play of the week this past week, or this week from yesterday, of the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies. 4 home runs that game when the Mets swept the Phillies, and I'll have one next week, a play of the week, and I also have one in the final week. Maybe I'll try to get 2. Those were just a mashup of 4 in that one game, just because there were 4 home runs, and one of them that I picked in specific was the New York Mets pitcher Noah Syndergaard, who is brought up from the minors, who's now in his 4th start, who is a well-known hitter in the minors, hit a home run in the deepest part of the ballpark, and it is the first time in 3 years a New York Mets pitcher has hit a home run, and it was kind of historical, so I picked that for my play of the week. We have a lot to cover today. Training camp news in the NFL as OTAs began for offenses and defenses this week as well. And also a lot of hockey news. We got some Game 7s happening this weekend. And we got some NBA news as well, the playoffs, as the Red Hot Warriors look to head into the finals. So we'll start off with the NFL. OTAs began, which was off-season training, for those who don't know what that is. So here makes it a little interesting. Some key notes, obviously. A lot of teams that have been struggling in the past few years have been making headlines because, obviously with their draft picks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Jameis Winston saying his OTAs have been great so far, his off-season workouts have been wonderful, his throwing arm is great, and blah, blah, blah. On the Titans side of the 2nd overall pick, Marcus Mariota, the same thing. He blended in with the team great, and practice is going smoothly with them. And then you go on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, if you remember, who lost their first round pick. I think it was their 4th or 5th pick of the draft. It was Dante Fowler, their corner, who tore his ACL on the first day of training a couple weeks back, and ends the season that hasn't begun. So a lot of struggles in Jacksonville, but they are having some hope with the new running game after Maurice Jones-Drew retired as well this past season. So with their new rookie running back, and also some headlines, I guess, with Buffalo. Defenses are working great as well as offenses, and it's a battle for the quarterback. There are four quarterbacks that are battling, and they're not the only NFL team that are battling for a quarterback. You have the Cleveland Browns, who is a battle between Johnny Manziel and Josh McCown, and then in Buffalo you have 4. You have Matt Castle, E.J. Manuel, Tyrod Taylor, who's a former Baltimore Ravens backup, and you also have, obviously, Castle and Manuel is a battle of 3, I believe. So, Buffalo making some news as well, and they're projected, obviously, to have a great season. And I hope they do. And for everyone knows, I am not a Buffalo Bills fan, but they are a local team, and it's been a while since they've done well. It's been a good 10, 15 years. So it'd be interesting to see the Buffalo Bills make a playoff run. That being said, obviously the AFC East is a little more difficult than it has been in the past few years. The Patriots aren't the juggernaut anymore, at least for this season, because you have the Miami Dolphins now signing Ndamukong Suh, signing Greg Jennings, who's a great receiver, and signing also a couple other receivers as well, and signing Ryan Tannehill, their quarterback, to a contract extension, which provides big bucks for that man. And the Dolphins look set. The Dolphins look to be a threat in the AFC East. The one team that's gonna struggle is the New York Jets. Even though they got Darrelle Revis and Antonio Cromartie back on their defense and their secondary, they still don't have an offense. They did sign Brandon Marshall, former Chicago Bear wide receiver, but they do have a quarterback issue. A quarterback issue with Geno Smith, who, in my opinion, is not their franchise quarterback. They can do so much better. That's the look of the AFC East, because it's gonna be a struggle. It's gonna be tougher, especially for the Patriots as well, with the backup for at least for 4 games, with Brady out with the suspension. And the Bills and the Dolphins have the biggest advantage right now because they can take the East by storm in the beginning of the season. Because Tom Brady is out, they can take advantage of it. The AFC East is going to be one of the toughest divisions this coming season, I'll tell you that, people. But talking about another division that's going to be difficult for many other teams, it's going to be the NFC West. San Francisco 49ers just signed Reggie Bush, well-known running back, formerly known for playing in New Orleans, Miami, and Detroit. Signed play kick returner and punt returner, and to replace Frank Gore. Frank Gore, who obviously went to Indianapolis to play for the Colts. But the West looks to be shaping up as well. Arizona looking to stay healthy and make another playoff run, as they made the wild card last year and fell to Carolina. St. Louis is looking to be the odd team out, though. Although they do have a new quarterback in Nick Foles, but they do need receivers. They have a great defense, they need receivers and a running back, a solid running game to be a contender. And obviously, the juggernaut in the Seattle Seahawks, signing Jimmy Graham, and with Russell Wilson as well, obviously, and their ball-hawking defense, obviously, with Legion of Boom. Seattle has been dominant the past few years, and I think they will again this year. But speaking of Seattle's first week practices, Russell Wilson did not show up to his first practice which I find pretty interesting. There's tragic news for Seattle, I guess, for Seattle players. For Cliff Averill, the defensive end, whose father passed away, and Jimmy Graham, who had a family member pass away. And Jimmy Graham's a new member of the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson attended with him to the funeral, which was great, I guess. Russell Wilson, in my opinion, just is a great man. No matter where he goes, no matter what happens to him, he will have a wonderful career, and he is a wonderful young man. And I'm gonna say young man. He's older than me, but a wonderful man. And he has shown that he takes the game to a completely different level, especially to a teammate he just got, and he's already has chemistry with him, which makes it just astonishing, and it shows that the game is just more than just playing football. It's about meeting new people and stuff like that. So that's Seattle news. That's OTAs, really. OTAs aren't really something special. It's just going to be, it's the first time the players get on the field since the last time they had a game in the last year. And they get to practice, blah, blah, blah. And we're back to the grind. That's just the start of a long, long season ahead of us. So that's the NFL for you. There's no scandals at the moment. I'm really glad that it's all over. I'm really glad that all that's done. We get to enjoy some preparing ourselves for training camp and football and stuff like that. So for hockey news, we got a bunch of hockey news. This past week, we saw the New York Rangers play the Tampa Bay Lightning in Game 6, and last night we saw the Blackhawks play the Ducks in Game 6 as well. In the Lightning and Rangers series, the Lightning were up 3-2, and in the Blackhawks and Ducks series, the Ducks were up 3-2. So this was Monday night, I believe, the Rangers played. Monday or Tuesday night. It was Tuesday night, yes. It was Tuesday night the Rangers and Lightning played. They were in Tampa. It was dominated by the Rangers. They had a 2-1 lead going into the second period. And after that, they exploded their offense. Brassard with 2 goals. And they ended up winning 5-2, I believe. And 5-2 or 6-2. I'm losing my memory. But the Rangers do force a Game 7. Now, this is an interesting fact. The Rangers have played the most possible games any team could play in the playoffs as they're going for their 3rd consecutive Game 7. Now their season, they don't want their season to end, obviously, in there. If they could force the championship game, if they make it to Game 7, that would be record-breaking because no team in the NHL, from my knowledge, has ever, or any sport with a 7-game series, has had every series go into a Game 7 and win it all. So the Rangers had a Game 7 against Pittsburgh in the first round. They had a Game 7 finish against Washington in the second round, and now they're looking to have a Game 7 finish with Tampa in the third round. And the winner obviously plays Chicago and Anaheim. Now with that series, the Ducks and Blackhawks played last night. It was a nail-biter, but the Blackhawks won 5-2. It was very close throughout the rest of the game, throughout the entire game, and then Chicago kind of exploded in the last period. But now that series is tied, and they're going to a Game 7. And the Ducks, who have been known for sweeping teams in the playoffs, is now in a Game 7 in their first in the playoffs this season. And now the Blackhawks, who have experienced Game 7 before, this will be their second. Which makes it very interesting for hockey because we have 2 Game 7s this weekend. So there's your what to watch for. You have some hockey coming up. But going back to the Rangers and Lightning, here's an interesting article that I found out. An interesting little news story. The Tampa Bay Lightning officials in their stadium had banned any Rangers fans' jerseys. So if you're a Rangers fan and you live in Tampa and you go to the game, you can't wear a Rangers jersey, otherwise they'll kick you out of your seat. Many people are going crazy about it, and the NHL is under a minor investigation about it. They're not trying to make it a big public thing, but there's been rumors and many people taking pictures of what's been going on Twitter because fans complaining that Lightning fans are complaining that the Rangers fans with jerseys in the front row shouldn't be there, and the Lightning team Twitter page responded saying, we'll take care of it. And they ended up kicking out a couple people, and then they had a rule. They also had it in the last series against the Canadiens. No Canadian fans, obviously for the hockey team. But which makes it interesting because if you live in Tampa and you're a Rangers fan or even a Montreal Canadiens fan at the time, and you're gonna go see a game and you can't wear your own jersey, you can't wear your team's jersey. That's not right, and which makes it very interesting. And that kind of brings a lot of shame to the Tampa Bay Lightning at the moment, and it's kind of disappointing from hearing that, and it'd be a kind of a Cinderella story for the Rangers to win, because thinking back to New York. Winning their series in the playoffs last year, making it into the Stanley Cup, getting destroyed by the LA Kings 4-1. And now their motto has been changed, the ending, which I find amazing. And it's almost like a sports Cinderella story that we haven't seen in a long time. Since the 2013-2014 Seattle Seahawks was the last time we saw a Cinderella story. But with this New York team, you see players that want to win a championship. They were the number 1 seed. Many people thought that the number 1 seed who won the President's Trophy were cursed and were going to lose in the first round. They forced 2 Game 7s. They've won everything so far. It's just the extra work they've had to put in. That game is under the lights in the Garden on Friday, and both Game 7s they have won has been in the Garden. So New York looking to solidify their spot from the Eastern Conference champion and to move on to the Stanley Cup final for the second year in a row and hopefully actually win it this year. But otherwise, Tampa is a very hard-knocking team, and any advice for the Rangers, any analysis I have, is that from watching all these games, that the New York Rangers either will blow out the Tampa Bay Lightning, will destroy them by a 3 or 4 goal margin, or they will struggle, they will take it to overtime, and they will fall up short. If this game goes overtime, it'll be interesting. It'll be epic. I guarantee that game it'll top the Capitals game for sure, win or loss. If you want something to watch for, Friday night, I believe it's at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in Madison Square Garden. It's on NBC Network. It's like channel 68 or 69. Watch the Rangers play the Lightning. It'll be an intense matchup, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Even if you're a Rangers or a Lightning fan, you're going to be biting your teeth, or biting your nails with your teeth, obviously, like I will be. But if you're just a hockey fan in general, your team's already eliminated, watch that game, please, because it is an epic hockey matchup. Winner goes to the finals. It's a Game 7, and also watch the Blackhawks and Ducks game because it has the same tone. It has got the same set of pace, and it has got the same emotion that you're going to get out of the Rangers game and the Lightning as well. So that is all my spiel for hockey at the moment. Until then, I'm going to take a break. You listen to Cuse in the morning at 90.9 FM, WIRQ. Coming up next, I will talk about some NBA playoffs and maybe some MLB. There's been some sad news from New York Mets fans, including myself. We'll talk about that after the break, so sit tight. You're listening to 90.9 FM, WIRQ. As always, it's Cuse in the morning. In the last final podcast, sad, tear-eyed, and crying inside. I really am upset that this is slowly coming to an end, but we gotta finish off strong, right? So, NBA. We'll go with that. We'll start with that. Let's just say that I'm not surprised at who is in the finals. The Cleveland Cavaliers beating the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Golden State Warriors, who looked red hot all season, beat the Houston Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. So it's the Golden State Warriors versus the Cleveland Cavaliers in the finals. LeBron James cannot get out of the NBA championship picture. And am I complaining about that? No, I am not. LeBron has won 2 titles with Miami. He's looking to win his 3rd and finally bring the championship to Cleveland after so many years in Cleveland before he couldn't do it. Now he's looking to do it. But Golden State, on the other hand, for the first time since 1975, they are making a championship appearance. That's a long time. Is that 40 years ago? That's 40 years ago. Wow. That's all I can say. Congratulations to both teams for making it in. Steph Curry, whatever people call him, MVP of the season, making it in. My prediction is the Warriors to win the championship. I don't think LeBron can do it all by himself. Otherwise, he has great teammates. He has Love. He has Irving. But I do believe the Warriors have the edge. I do believe that the Golden State Warriors will win the series. I'm calling it. I don't think the show might be on still. Maybe it'll be the last episode when the series will be over. Maybe. Hopefully we'll crown a Stanley Cup champion by then, because I kind of want to analyze that. I do predict that the Warriors are going to win the series in 6 games. They'll win it in Game 6, and LeBron will just come up short. That's my prediction. He will come up short, and the Warriors will win the championship. So at least we have one championship game already determined. And then we gotta go to hockey. We gotta figure that out. We'll figure that out next episode. We'll definitely know, and we'll talk about that. I'll either be rocking this Rangers hat still, or I will be not. I won't. Otherwise, I won't, and I'll be very upset and not want to talk about it. But I will, because hey, I talked about the Super Bowl, and I talked the heck about that. I analyzed that, and I picked apart the pieces about the Super Bowl, even though I was upset that my team lost at the last play of the game. But I still was a good sport about it, and I will be a good sport about whatever happens in the Rangers game and whatever happens in the Blackhawks and Ducks game. So we have a lot coming up. But moving on from that, baseball news. New York Mets, as I started the show off with those 4 dingers, 2 from Duda, 1 from Kadire, and 1 from their pitcher, Noah Syndergaard. Their captain, David Wright, is not in the best of moods at the moment after finding out sad news this past week that he has spinal stenosis, which is a I guess it's like a deterioration in the back, in the bottom lower half of your back, that something in your body, in your spine doesn't grow right, or something like, I don't know what they're called, but it's very major, and it could possibly end the man's career. Now, David Wright has been with the Mets for 12 seasons, I believe now, and I think he's only 34 or 35 years old, so he's got some baseball left in him. But it's just sad to see it that way. That if any professional sport, any professional player, if you want to end your career, you should do it on your terms, not because of an injury. That's the most heartbreaking thing that's ever any sports player can ever endure, no matter what you're playing. Or anything to that matter. If you're forced to quit something because of something in your way that you can't control, I mean, that stinks. And the best of wishes go out to David Wright. And as a Mets fan, and everyone in MLB, in Major League Baseball, has been shocked by this. It can be healed. It can be, I guess, treatable in a way. But it is a very high possible chance that it could end his career. Obviously, there's a lot of baseball left to play in New York. He's only played with the Mets, and he's had a legacy with the New York Mets. In all-time hits up there on the top of the list in franchise history for the Mets, and has appeared in numerous All-Star games. But it looks like his season's over. That's the least of everyone's worries, or at least his worries. He's got to spend the rest of the summer rehabbing, and hopefully by spring of next year he'll be back. Nothing's not saying anything for certain, not promising anything, but he could have his career over and shortened. And although he's played 12 seasons in the MLB, the Mets are looking pretty good this year. They're looking better than they have been in the past few years, and it'd be a shame if he is not there to participate and be part of that team if they go on to make the playoffs or even so win a championship. It stinks, and obviously he's one of the reasons why I'm a huge Mets fan. And seeing, especially their team captain, go down like that, was something he can't control. I mean, he left about a month and a half ago with an injury, the hamstring injury, and that was it. And he was set to come back last week. He had a lower back injury, or had some strains, had an MRI done, and they were diagnosed with spinal stenosis, which has shortened many people's careers. As the Mets go, they need to find a third baseman. They have obviously backup Eric Campbell, and then they have sometimes Wilmer Flores or even Daniel Murphy playing third base. But if that's the case, it's been a long time since anyone in the New York Mets have said it. They need to find a new third baseman, and if at least this season, if Wright isn't coming back, if he's not coming back for the rest of his career because of this injury, if he goes out as a Met, will he come back? He still has a couple years left in his contract. Everything is up in the air right now, and nothing's for certain until we go ahead in the future, until we know what the extent of his injury is and how long it'll keep him out. And again, like I said, any professional sport, if your career is shortened because of an injury, I mean that takes a huge toll on you. Numerous players have had to end their career because of injury that had great potential. I mean, Wright has played 12 seasons. He's had a heck of a career, and he could retire right now and have a great career, and he would be proud of it. But the one thing he's missing is a championship. And this New York Mets team this year can do it. I know they can because I have a feeling they can, because they've looked great. Their pitching is great. Their offense is but it can improve, and it is improving. It's been improving over the years, and very patient Mets fans have been very patient, and hopefully this year will pay off. But it's a shame if their captain, their heart and soul of the team, in my opinion, David Wright, cannot be a part of it because of an injury. And from what I've been reading, many Mets fans are obviously upset, but they're also wanting to trade him. They've been wanting to get rid of Wright for a long time, and I don't understand, because David Wright has been their franchise player. He's been the heart and soul of the New York Mets for a very long time. Why they would want to get rid of him? Because he's injury prone, blah, blah, blah. When the guy is healthy, he can hit, he can run, he can field, he can play fundamental baseball. But it's just a shame to see that happen. And I'm scratching my head because seeing how Mets fans are like, we should get rid of him, we should trade him. Why? You're going to trade your heart and soul of your team? I mean, come on. No one, Sandy Alderson, the GM of the Mets, and Terry Collins, the manager of the Mets, has no intention of trading him. They never would want to. And David has made it clear he wants to stay in New York for the rest of his career. Maybe he got that wish, and maybe that might end his career, and I honestly hope it doesn't. And I'm not going to drag this on more than it needs to be. But best of wishes and a speedy recovery for David Wright. And hopefully the Mets can use that as motivation to continue their dominance and bring home a championship for the third time in franchise history. I mean, it's been a while since the Mets have had tasted had some playoff tastes. So until then, I'm gonna end this show. I mean, it's kind of a sad note. I mean, it was kind of a ugh. Now I kind of feel upset about it. But oh well. We have 2 more episodes left after this, guys. Get ready. Next episode, we're talking about the Stanley Cup Finals, when that happens. And we'll also talk about the NBA Finals when we get a couple games into there. And then, after that, we have 1 more episode left, and then it's done. So, until then, Cuse in the morning, I'm here right now saying I'm out for this week. I'll see you next week. See ya.